It's a Friday, and definitely it's the best day of the week. Most of you say you hate Monday, but every time it's Friday, you know Monday has come closer. So stop rejoicing. A very good evening, and thank you for joining us in the newsroom. My name is Joshua Poro. Now let's have a look at the top stories in our newscast tonight. Schools that reject law school candidates to be punished. Uganda's corruption starts at school. Mufti Mubaja apologizes for his sins. 80% electricity users in Mbale are illegally connected. Welcome back, and this is the newsroom. Starting straight away with the Mubaje apology. The Mufti of Uganda, Sheikh Ramadan Mubaje, has this evening apologized to the Muslim fraternity for all the wrongs that he has done ever since he came into office as the Mufti of Uganda. In 2007, Mufti Mubaje faced criminal charges of fraudulent disposal of Muslim properties. Now, Mubaje made the apology during the union meeting, which brought together Muslims of different functions at the Gaddafi Mosque after the Juma prayers. However, the Chibuli sect Muslims, led by Supreme Mufti Zubaidi Kayongo, boycotted the move. Here is more.
Hundreds of Muslims gathered at Gaddafi National Mosque in Old Kampala today for the long-awaited Muslim Unite meeting between different Muslim sects and dignitaries. During the meeting, Sheikh Ramadan Mubaje apologized to the Muslim fraternity for all the wrongs he has committed since he took over office as the Mufti of Uganda. Mubaje also stressed that he has forgiven all those that wronged him. Mubaje was in 2008 acquitted of criminally disposing prime Muslim properties. He also regretted the time lost due to the unnecessary perennial wrangles. Mubaje asked government to return all the Muslim properties and fairly treat the Muslims who were detained as murder suspects.
This unity for us, as the Quran says, this unity in Islam is a weakness. That's why we are working failure everywhere. No development because of our disunity. But if we unite, we came together to become a power for us to stand.
Let this one mark the beginning of uniting the Muslim community. Let Muslims understand that let us forget what we have lost and then forge ahead.
However, the Chibuli sect led by the Supreme Mufti Zubaidi Kayongo rejected this unite, claiming that what they want addressed are the matters which initially led to their disunity.
tulina kutunulira ensonga zaayawula wakati w'abasiraamu ne tuzirongoosa
tusooke tumanye ekkoona eryatubuza tulitereeze naye nawe tunaatuuka e Masaka ng'ekkoona lino tetuggyeewo kantu kaawaba era tujja kudda tugwe mu kinnya kyekimu.
nsirawo njawukana yonna yonna eriwo nti neyawula musiraamu n'omusiraamu fena tuli omusiraamu ki musiraamu naye entoboya y'okwawukana kuno kulw'essaawa ya leero y'ensonga enkulu evuddewo oba tevuddeewo.
Report compiled by Jaliat Namoya and Kasfanan Tali.
Now we do hope that peace finally returns to the Muslim community. Moving away from that, the Minister for Education and Sports, Jessica Lupo, has warned schools that reject students who have been allocated to them during the selection process and opt for other students with higher scores that they will be severely punished. But the heads of the schools that take only top scorers instead are now complaining that it is not easy to actually teach bright students. They work out the teachers too much. We have more.
During the Senior 1 selection exercise, Urban TV managed to get you schools, their cut-off points, and the school fee structures as per term. Education Minister Jessica Alupo warned school heads who reject students because of low points, and she said they will be fined accordingly.
In light of the consequences for those who do not adhere with the law. They act silent about that. But it's common and general knowledge that is our entire responsibility to fight dropout rates by having a place for all these children who pass their primary level examination.
Urban TV spoke to a few head teachers present in regard to the minister's remarks about penalizing them for rejecting students, and this is what they had to say. They say that they face a big challenge and hard work since these students are bright and they need to know so much.
What really happens is that such students are very inquisitive. You don't go to class, teach, and it ends there. They'll follow you up and ask you questions even outside what they're supposed to know because they're bright.
By policy, the minister is right. But when you go to the ground, some schools cannot accommodate those very big numbers. Now, like our case in Masaka Secondary School, the intake list has 720, and the non-selected list has around 1,200. So we cannot take all those students.
In an effort to help students who cannot join secondary school for one reason or the other, government has built tertiary institutions all over the country which will be commissioned by the end of June to help those who do not have potential points to join secondary schools.
In case they do not fit in the spaces which are available in education institutions, now we should work with them and the ministry to find suitable placements for them. For instance, in like those technical institutions which we have completed constructing across the country.
The Commissioner for Private Schools from the Ministry of Education, Robinson Insubuga, has urged the head teachers to desist the urge to increase school fees every academic term.
That the levying of school fees should be done in a fair and just manner, appreciating the economic standing of the majority of persons. The management of our institutions allowed to charge fees, but should not levy disproportionate amounts of school fees.
Senior 1 students are set to begin their academic year on the 16th of February this year.
Well, as we can see with the school fees structure there, you realize education is an investment, so you have to put up with as much as you can. Now, the scourge of corruption is set to stay in with Uganda for a long time because it is instilled quite early in the students at school, which have been identified as its breeding ground. Now, information from the Department of Ethics and Education indicates that the money used by the students to campaign for prefectorate positions is the starting point of corruption.
Transparency International last year placed Uganda among the most corrupt countries in the world, ranked at number 142 in transparency, while Denmark was ranked number 1 as the world's cleanest nation. Speaking during the Anti-Corruption Week dialogue at Hotel Africana, the Deputy Inspector General of Government said efforts to prosecute suspects in corruption cases are frustrated by witnesses and people who report the cases refusing to testify in court.
They even switch off their phones. We fail to contact them. Those who turn up and recount their statements or even say, sorry, I'm not able to testify. Sometimes cite protection of their jobs. That is in cases where the accused persons are their supervisors. Others are prevailed upon by relatives or the accused persons themselves, begging for mercy. Others are offered gifts, maybe bribes, to be blunt.
Meanwhile, the Director Ethics and Education Department, Amoth Lapenga, warned parents against giving their children money for school leadership positions campaigns, saying it instills corruption tendencies in them which might affect them in the future.
Some parents, right from parents of nursery school children up to secondary school, encourage corruption by giving small monies so that these poor children can buy biscuits, sweets, cakes, and distribute these cookies to their colleagues when campaigning for positions such as class monitors, prefects, in nursery schools, in primary schools.
He also said that if Uganda is to be corrupt-free, emphasis should be put on family, community and education institutions. Lapenga commended the Black Monday newsletter magazine for its educative and meaningful information and suggested that SECU rebrands and translates it into local languages for easy reading.
The key issue I think that came up is to ensure that Black Monday is able to capture the local content. In most cases, we tend to look at corruption scandals at the national level, but one of the recommendations which we ideally feel is very key is how do we capture those particular funds that are being stolen at district level, and how do we break them down for the people to understand the gravity. I think that is something that is very good. And again, of course, like the director from Directorate of Ethics and Integrity admitted that the information in the Black Monday magazine is very, very good.
According to the Anti-Corruption Coalition Uganda last year's report that was carried out in Amuria and Masindi districts, bribery was the highest form of corruption with 24%, nepotism, favorism and tribalism at 22%, embezzlement and theft at 20%, forgery and fraud at 16%, neglect of duty at 11%, and selling of public goods at 7%. The report also states that 21.8% respondents perceived medical institutions as the most corrupt, 17% considered corruption to exist in schools, while 11.3% of the study respondents considered it existing in police and the judiciary. Report compiled by Shamim Saad.
Now, a staggering 80% of people who use electricity in Mbale do steal it rather than acquire it lawfully from Umeme. And in a display of impunity, residents of Bukonde sub-county have vowed to continue stealing power unless Umeme does reduce the tariffs they charge per unit. Umeme ranks Mbale as #1 district in power theft, costing the power regulator about 20 billion shillings per month.
Government, through the rural electrification project, embarked on connecting poles and wires in different areas across the country. However, residents Bukonde in Mbale district failed to understand this project and resorted to power theft, claiming the charges are high. Indeed, as we drive through the area, we discover that several homes hook power directly from the main line, with others even fixing their own poles to support the wires. Although this is a daily practice, these residents take it no more, even when they have had to bury their loved ones who were killed by power.
The way forward of people connecting illegal power, now these Umeme officials, together with the government, to reduce the taxes, high taxes of power, so that people can connect their power correct to their houses.
The residents insist that Umeme charges them heavily, yet area politicians told them that electricity is a free donation by the government.
Twagala muje mutunsomese nafe tutegere mita ekolachi ebala neyo omusajja veri anyiga pakala ojja oleo olaba emitwalo 15 kati gonolemere.
But the manager technical services, Michael Gidudu, reveals that Umeme loses up to 20 billion shillings monthly in replacement of transformers and wires.
We lose a lot of equipment such as transformers. There are damages because of increases the conductor. When character, for example, where we're standing from a blue on commission, after commissioning, before we got even a illegal customer on it, it's blue. And you cannot replace such a transformer when there is no customer.
For now, the blame game continues while Umeme crows foul of losses. But the big question is there any free power supply or distributed by the government?
Well, this is the newsroom, and up next is going to be Samson Kasumba with the full briefing, and he's looking at how much more money do you spend on your hair than actually you spend on tuition.
Urban, it starts here.